Now that we have an understanding of the various columns, let's go take a look at what's in them. First of all, we have this word Narozen. Well, Narozen, Narodjil, these all have to do with birth, Nar. If you see that, you can assume that it's referring to the birth. So this one was born on the 27th of January. But now we have the 28th down here. 28th, K-R-K-T-E-N, Kristen. Looks kind of like christening, and that's what it is. That's the baptism. House number 67. This is the key that the other researchers will expect a newbie to use to look through the records looking for House 67 to find additional family data. If you do not do at least some effort on your own, you will not get help from them after the first couple of times. So use the house number 67. You don't need to read check to tell what that is, and if they stayed in the same house, you can find an awful lot of records that way. So Joseph is the name of the child. He was christened by, this is the name of the priest, Jan. Now you say, but it says Jana. Well, that's because it is after a preposition, for instance, Baptist by, and in Czech to indicate prepositional values like that, the endings at the end of the word change. And typically for masculine names, an A gets thrown on. Except down here, farage means like the pastor or the rector, and we get an E at the end. Don't try to figure it out. Just look at the root word, ignore the endings, and you can look these up in a dictionary. Speaking of which, you do need to invest in a dictionary. I have a modern one, and I have one with a copyright of 1963, which puts the words in it 50 years closer to the records that you are looking at. So if you can find an old Czech to English and English to Czech dictionary, buy it. The entry underneath it, Baba, is the midwife. It's merely interesting, except in one of my cases I found out that one of my direct ancestors was the midwife for everybody. We've already discussed these columns. We have a Catholic boy who is legitimate. The father is Jan Batya, who is a Catholic. You can read that. Now hear this word, C-H-A-L-U-P-N-I-K, Chlupnik. You can look that up in a dictionary, and it says cottager. But if you look under the letter C, you're not going to find it. That's because in Czech, CH is another letter, and it follows H in the dictionary. A Chlupnik was a status, and they were smaller than the typical farmers. Whether they owned any land, I don't know. This would be a good research project or an explanation for the group. The means from, then the name of the town. Manželský means legitimate, legitimate son of Jan. Again, we have this possessive case, so it turns out to be an A, but the last name Batya started out with an A, so it gets changed to an I. He was also a cottager, but from house number 5. And we have another city. This means you can go look at records for that village and carry back the previous generation, possibly. A is and, Jeho, his, Manželky is not legitimate, but it's wife. Notice the difference, there's no S. So this is the word for wife. Josefa, again the A gets changed to a Y. Dcera is daughter of František. František gets changed into a KA. Javunka, following those rules, the A would drop off And chances are it was an EK, Yavunek. That would have been my guess. Going back to what Sonia transcribed for you, sure enough, his wife, Josefa, daughter of František Javurek. Ah, so I got one letter wrong. Yeah, so this is an R, not an N. And this is where many of the mistakes will be made, being not able to read the handwriting, and the people who would gladly help you out with that, if you've taken it that far, they will help translate and correct your errors. There really should be, I think, a hot check above that R, but Okresu of the Okres, which is a political or administrative entity, maybe equivalent to a township or a county in the U.S. It's the next bigger place that sent out all of the tax collectors, etc. And this is very helpful because you can then narrow down which village it is when you have one where there's 20 of them with the same name. If you're given this next larger entity, you can figure out which one it is. So over here we have Anna, Catholic, the legitimate daughter of František Beneš, who is also chlapnik in number 13. Name of this, oh yes, Novi Sidziel, the whole village that started out this process. And his wife, Mariana, daughter of Jan Barta Ronica. That's, I believe, a slightly bigger farmer from house number 20 in a different village, but still in Vitomysha. As far as the sponsors over here, we have Frank. It's funny, it's Franz with a C, František. I believe they're all the same. He's from house number 22. Susanna. See, now this is where it gets a little difficult. Learning how to read stuff like this and going to some of the other queries that have been made and studying how they turned out will help you to teach yourself. She is the wife of Jan, this name, who is a different kind of landowner. And this is again where my lack of knowledge might show up. Nadvornika. He's from 12, a different, well, from the same village. So there's an introduction to how to read these words. And if you've had any foreign language study at all in high school or college, you should be able to relate what you learned there to being able to deal with these words in a 70% fashion or so.